Hey there folks, it's Blue here from Blue Bears Games, and this video will be the upgrade guide for the March of the Machine Commander Precon Cavalry Charge. Let me start this guide by repeating something that I said in the unboxing video. This deck is similar to the Rebellion Rising Precon that I did a few weeks ago, in that it's a great deck for anyone just starting the game to learn with. It's simple, yet effective at being played with without any really hard mechanics or concepts to grasp. Tribal/typal decks tend to be that way, so keep that in mind for the upcoming sets, since that appears to be what the Ixalan precons were all based on. For the purposes of this guide, I have decided to keep the commander as Sidar Jabari because I believe that card to be the better of the two that they provided. I have pinpointed 13 cards that I believe would make great options for taking this deck in a much better direction, and 13 cards that should be taken out to make room for them. Real quick though, before I get into the guide, I want to take a moment to let you know that if you're in the market for a new awesome deck box, playmat, or sleeves, please visit our sponsor at arcane-fortress.com and take a look at what they have. The deck boxes are some of the best I've ever used, and you can even get an additional 5% off of your purchase if you use discount code BLUEBEAR at checkout. Now on to the guide. First, let's talk about what to remove. It's well known that WotC precons have very budget land bases and usually contain too many mana sources as a whole. For that reason, I'll start by removing 1 Plains, 1 Island, 1 Swamp, the Temple of the False God, Commander Sphere, and Ichor Elixir. Out of the box, this deck had 39 lands and 8 mana rocks for a whopping 47 mana sources. That's almost half the deck. I get that without mana you can't do much, but the opposite is also true. With too much mana, you don't have anything to cast if all you're getting is more mana sources. So out comes all of those I just mentioned, but don't worry, I'll be replacing a couple of them with much better options shortly. As for what else to take out, I would remove Order of Midnight, Liliana's Standard Bearer, Knight of the Black Rose, Knight of the Last Breath, Painful Truths, Unbreakable Formation, and Path of the Enigma. Sure, all these cards can be useful for the build, but not as useful as the cards I've slated to swap in. Either the mana costs are too high, or what they do is weak for what they cost, and I'm trying to bring the overall average cost to cast down here. That, and some of the card draw options they chose are very subpar, considering you have access to blue. Now let's get to the fun part, what to swap in. I will start with a land called Minas Tirith. It can come into play untapped, and actually provides colored mana, which is nice, but the repeatable card draw is the main appeal here. The caveat of having to attack with 2 or more creatures to activate it is minimal, since this is a combat-based tribal/typal deck. I'll take this over Plains almost every time. The other mana source that I would swap in is Chromatic Lantern. If you're going to spend 3 mana for a mana rock, it should be for one of the better ones in the game. Since this is a 3-colored deck, access to all 3 colors is vital to its success, and the Lantern fixes mana better than most any other of the mana rocks in the game. Moving on, let's talk about creatures. I have looked at a bunch of different ones and found 5 I like better than what they have included in the box. I'll start with Unsettled Mariner, because it provides a layer of protection for all of your permanents while also counting as a knight. Then I'd add Sky Hunter Strike Force, because it can help turn even the smallest of your creatures into lumbering beasts. Plus, it has flying, which is kind of a weak point in this tribe. Next, I'd add Basri's Lieutenant, because low-key, it's one of the best knights in the game if you utilize its abilities correctly, which I'll explain just a little later. Moonshaker Cavalry, because it's a game finisher. It's similar to what Craterhoof Behemoth does for green combat-based decks, except instead of trample, it gives flying as its choice of evasion. Oh, and would you look at that, it's also a knight as well. And the last creature that I'll suggest, sort of, is the Council of 4. I like the Council because it can help you draw cards without the drawback of paying life, but also can provide you with some knight tokens if your opponent gets greedy with casting too many spells. Also, look at that defense. Not much is getting past a 0-8 to speak of. The last 4 cards I want to show you before talking about combos are all enchantments that I feel provide a nice boost to the theme that this deck is going for. I'll start with Bastion of Remembrance. I'm always looking for ways to provide a deck with a different way to win other than the main strategy, but will also synergize well with what the main theme is. The Bastion has good synergy with decks that are creature heavy, while also providing a way to chip away at everyone else's health, so this was an easy swap in. Next, I liked 2 of the recently printed virtues, Virtue of Loyalty and Virtue of Persistence. The White Virtue provides us with a Knight token as an adventure, which is nice, but as an enchantment helps grow your horde while giving them a quasi-vigilance effect. The Black Virtue gives us limited removal as an adventure, but then as an enchantment allows us to be a little more reckless with some of our choices during combat. And the last enchantment that I'm going to show you is called Cathar's Crusade. Not only does this make all of your creatures bigger, but it actually combos with Basri's Lieutenant to go infinite if you have a sack outlet. Mind you, this isn't the actual combo I'm going to give you for the deck, but it is a nice bonus one in addition to the one I'm about to show you, since that one will also include a sack outlet. So the combo that I do actually want to go over uses a card that was already in the box, Hacken Stromgald Scourge. In addition to Hacken, you will also need an Ashnod's Altar and a Universal Automaton. With all three on the field, you simply just need to sack the Automaton to the altar to start the loop. Since the Automaton has Changeling, it's considered a knight in every zone, which means that you can cast him from your graveyard thanks to Hacken's second ability. This will leave you with 1 extra colorless mana every time you do this. On top of infinite mana, this also gives you infinite death triggers, leaves the battlefield triggers, cast triggers, and enter the battlefield triggers. On top of all that, having something like Bastion of Remembrance out as well now wins you the game. Oh, and don't forget that the Ashnod's Altar is the sack outlet that you need to also combo off with Basri's Lieutenant and Cathar's Crusade. If you do need that one explained, just let me know in the comment section and I will do so. And that, my fellow Spellslingers, was my upgrade guide for the Cavalry Charge March of the Machine Commander Precon. I like the theme of this one, which is why I made my own version of it years before this one was even released. It's a great deck to use as a starting point for new players, and I highly recommend it for anyone looking to jump into the game. So that's all for now, but I'll be doing this again next week for another March of the Machine Precon. Once again, I'm not sure which one I'll go over just yet, so you'll just have to check back next Friday to find out which one I chose. Thanks for watching, and if you could, please do the following for me. Give the video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Share this out to anyone you think would enjoy it, and visit our sponsor at arcane-fortress.com, and remember to use discount code BLUEBEAR for an additional 5% off your order if you do decide to purchase anything from them. Now, unless you decide to go watch some of my many other videos, have a great day, and I will see you all next week.